Hi, it's Ms. Sofferman here in the historical fiction section of the library. When I was a kid your age, I didn't actually think that I liked historical fiction. It seemed like boring old stuff to me. But the older I got and the more I just started trying it, I realized that I really did like it. And I like historical fiction for the same reason why I like fantasy and science fiction and dystopian stories, because it's a little bit of an escape for me. It's a good way to learn history. So whether you're interested in female spy pilots trying to go against the Nazis, or whether you're interested in learning about Al Capone, a famous gangster who's now in prison, there's a lot to like about historical fiction. Blackbird Girls. Chernobyl is a nuclear reactor in Russia, and in the 1980s, there was a big nuclear accident there. So this is about two girls who were living there and had their lives turned totally upside down. North Korea, 1950, a very dangerous time, a very dangerous government, telling people what to do, telling people what they can and can't, how they can and can't live. Two kids trying to escape, trying to survive in the wilderness. Do they make it? 1930s depression in Indiana. The Mighty Miss Malone, one of the funnest characters, I think, of any book. You meet this girl, you want to be her friend, and you just want to find out how they're going to do it and if they're going to make it. In Japan in the 1800s, nobody was allowed really in or out. I didn't know that until I read this book. But the people of Japan didn't really know much about what was beyond their island. A kid and his brothers go fishing, and there's a storm, and they get blown off course. 14-year-old boy, castaway, gets picked up by an American ship and spends some time with them, but then eventually someday wants to come home to Japan, but these Americans who brought him there aren't allowed in Japan. What's going to happen then? Do you ever wonder what the pandemics we've had before were like? So Fever 1793 is about the yellow fever. It wasn't really a pandemic. It was more of an epidemic in Pennsylvania. And then A Death-Struck Year is about the flu pandemic. White Rose is a novel in verse based on a true story of Stephanie Skoll, who was a real-life activist who was working against the Nazis during the beginning of World War II. Did you read Bridge to Terabithia? Well, this is the same author, only in this story, she's writing about Cuba during the 1960s, which was a really tumultuous time there with Fidel Castro just coming into power. And the main character in this is a girl who has signed up to become a teacher off in the remote areas of Cuba. And when political unrest started, she got involved. There are several pretty sad chapters in American U.S. history of times when people in our country were really, really terrible to other races. And right after the bombing of Pearl Harbor was one of them. So what happened was Japanese Americans who lived in the United States were rounded up and sent to detention centers, which were kind of like, giant prisons. Really, they were prisons because they weren't allowed to leave, because Japan was the country that bombed the U.S. in Pearl Harbor. So this is a story of 14 kids, teenagers, who were sent to one of the detention camps and what it was like for them. So those are just a few examples of some of the really cool books that we have here that can help you learn about other parts of history and other parts of the world, and they're really fun, and you should come and read them. If there's a part of history or a part of the world that you're interested in learning more about, let me know. We'll find something.